This is One Pretty Ricky, and I'm joined with my co-host, Kirsten Huovinen. We are live. This is the F5 Recovery Radio here on KRFF 95.9 LPFM. Super exciting. We made it. It's another Wednesday. We are here. Super happy to everyone who's tuning on a Facebook Live watching us. And
it didn't snow.
It didn't snow.
Oh, my gosh.
It was crazy rain, though.
Yeah.
Like, ridiculous amounts of levels of rain. I was not prepared for that.
I didn't. I was asleep. I absolutely didn't hear anything. We even had our window open and
David, with all the rain?
Yeah. David, who lives with us, he said, "Didn't you hear the thunder?" I said, "No." No, I didn't. But last summer when this huge clap of thunder came and all I heard was my kid's door shut, and then it was like, and then he's at our door. He's like, "What was that?" You were not the bravest during storms, but.
That's funny.
Anyway,
Yeah.
How many gigs did you have over the weekend?
Quite a few. It was kind of busy, but it was like a good busy, like a good level of like everything was manageable and like seemed okay. Because like I think when I talked about last week, it was like back to back, boom, 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 and then this week was like okay, this is like mellowed out, settled out.
Yeah,
like this is way more easy to manage and like family life. And Chelsea was happier because I was home more.
Oh, look
so
at
that's
that.
good.
Yeah,
yeah.
Often makes wives happier. Sometimes it's okay when you guys leave.
Yep.
For a week or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was like, yeah, this is great. And then I specifically didn't plan anything for this weekend. Like I completely blocked this weekend off.
Nice.
Because it's her first Mother's Day, my first Mother's Day weekend. And so I'm like, I want to be all hands on deck. I'm going to be like, whatever you need.
Huh. Good for you, Ricky.
Yeah.
Really, like that. You'll do that for the first one. You'll forget the rest of these, but that's a good reminder for all the boys out there. It's Mother's Day coming up. Don't screw it up.
Yep.
Yeah. Make an effort.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Clean all day long. Mm-hmm. Probably what moms want most of all is to be away from the kids. You know what I mean? Like, please take the kids to a movie or something.
Yeah.
So I can sit all by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And watch, I don't know, maybe Survivor,
yep.
because that's an awesome show or something. Anyway.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think, we have, that's pretty much her Saturday. Like she and one of her best friends are going to go flower shopping, I think. But like not like bouquets, but like they're going to go and like buy like like get all the potted things and they go out like somewhere really far and like, because that's where you get like the best deals, I guess. Like it's kind of
I'll have to ask her.
Yeah, I don't know where they're going, but they're going to spend all day just flower shopping, getting ready for things. So I was like, all right, cool. Kids with me. Like I got him. We're going to just eat all the, well, he can't really eat sugar, but like in my mind, I'm like, we're just going to have like mom's gone. It's just me and dad time.
Yeah, that'll backfire eventually.
Eventually it will. But for right now, it's like, yeah, we can, because it's funny, you were talking about like, I'm going to be, going part-time and spending more time with him and all that. But like you were talking about how like sometimes, you were like, if Matt did that, I could never trust him. It would just be chaotic. Like I think in the back of Jelsa's mind, I'm thinking for her, right? So I think in her mind, she was like, I don't think she knows what it's going to be like with having more of me with him and just all the bad habits that she's going to have to break because she's already had to break a lot of mine. So like, I'm just going to, just inevitably teach him all my, like, I can't get away with it, but you can.
Right.
And then it's just going to be, she's going to come home and the house is going to just be a disaster. And she's going to be like, what the heck?
I can't see that, you doing that at all. And it's so different when it's your kids. Like, if it's not my kids, I literally send them home with pockets full of candy. If it's not my kids. If it's mine, I hide that in an empty frozen vegetable container in the freezer, which you can use that trick.
Okay.
And they don't catch on until they're about teens, and now they're looking through frozen vegetable containers that are empty, because now I've put it back in an obvious place that they don't know where that is either. But they find it, they sniff it out. It's like bloodhounds. But you develop a whole bunch of different things when it's your kids, because you, being the one home, are the one that has to deal with it. And that gets to be long, long days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. And I feel like eventually I'm going to learn and be like, okay, you know what? I made a mistake. This was dumb. I should not be giving my kid candy and just other things.
Lord. Ricky, I don't know that I just still don't know what I'm doing with kids, because they're all different and they're all, and oftentimes they'll do something wrong And like the last time, I can't remember Sawyer what he did, but I was like, Sawyer, what am I going to do with you? I don't know what the heck I'm doing. It's not like they gave me a book for you. I don't know. And he's like, yeah, I get it. I suppose you should take my phone, and I suppose I should probably not have sleepovers for a while. And I'm like, geez, kid, you're being way rougher on yourself than I would have been on you. But they come up with their own stuff, and that's just by being honest with your kids, I guess. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing, so help me out here. Yep. And then when I act like I know what I'm doing, they're like, you don't know what you're doing. And then that's true. Yeah.
Yep. I feel like Ricky's starting to show more of his personality, and like I can definitely tell, like he's like recognizing, he's like, you have no idea what's going on. Yeah. Like even in his 3.5, he'll be 4 months on Mother's Day, which is crazy.
Like they can see your fear.
Yeah, like you can see, like it's like I have no idea what's going on.
Bees and dogs spell fear, and so do kids.
I was like, yeah. He's just looking at me like, yep. Where's mom? Like, what are you doing? Like, this is not how you change a diaper. But I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Like, this is it's effective. Yeah. Like it keeps all the stuff contained. You know, it's like I can do it.
I know that you put it. Yeah, you make do with a lot of things with kids, and it's just good enough. Yeah. But this weekend, we're desperately I should say we. Anyway, I am trying to get the house ready for graduation so that we can look better than we are, which will get into the topic of the day. But anyway, this weekend, my son that's graduating, he has 5 buddies, and they've hung out every weekend since they were probably in the 5th grade at our house. And I could not love 6 boys more. They're just they're so funny. They're just so great. Anyway, so I set up a scavenger hunt for them for like their senior year to get whatever. And it was, and over the years, I've done a lot of scavenger hunts, and they've gotten kind of elaborate. And this one ended up being like 4 hours long, and I got all their parents were willing to participate and have clues at their house, and there were puzzles they had to solve, and we hid one thing in a rock in a field, like in a fake rock. We hid a clue in a open field, and they even found that. Anyway, just to see the looks on their faces was like, it was just made my whole day. But they're hilarious, and they're so much more responsible, and that's just like, in spite of myself, I ended up loving these boys. Because initially, when they were in 5th grade, and they're like, we're going to hang out here every weekend, I thought, oh my God. I don't know if I can feed you. But you always have enough. You always have enough. Yeah. It's just like, why make, what is that one saying? Don't make the fence taller, make the table longer, or whatever. Oh, yep. Yeah. So anyway, they're amazing, amazing boys. They're all going to be such productive adults. It's just crazy. Yeah. Anyway, and I've learned a lot about boys by listening to them, because they come to my house every day for lunch. And I've learned that, like, because I used to think when I was a younger gal, that boys talked about girls as much as girls talk about boys. No. Okay, boys don't ever even remotely get to that subject unless they're teasing each other about something. Right. But otherwise, it just is mind-blowing how pointless some of these conversations are. They're just hilarious, you know? Right. So, young girls, don't put any effort into this. They're really not thinking about anything you said or whatever. Yep. Anyway.
Yeah, and that's funny because that doesn't change. Like, I'm 37. Like, I'm still... I don't really talk with my wife.
Yeah, I know.
Sometimes I talk with my kid, maybe. But usually, like, when it's me and my boys, it's like... Man, we're just razzling each other. Yep. We're just like talking about sports.
What a nice thing. Yeah, there's such a relief.
Yeah, there's just, and all of it, like, and it's funny because when Jelsa will overhear conversations or come down to the basement or whatever, like, we're just having shooting the breeze. Yeah. Like, she just shakes her head, or she'll like text me like, what? Like, is this what you do all day? Yeah. And it's like, yeah. But like, we bond, and it's like, just like, like not having those conversations. Yeah. It'd be weird to talk about something of substance, if that makes sense. Like, it's like, no, I don't want, I'm not inviting my friends over to like talk anything of like value and like let's talk about the economy. No, I don't want to do any of that. I want to just be ridiculous. that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's a break. Yeah. And I guess for women to overhash everything is probably a break too, because somebody finally listens and wants to overhash it with you. But I've sent Matt out on, like, he's been on golfing trips with a guy that's like kind of maybe going to get a divorce or something. And I'm like, well, what did they talk about? Did he mention anything?
Yeah.
He's like, no, nothing. I have no idea what's going on. I'm like, well, what in the world do you even talk about? You talk about nothing. You just stand there together? What? It's so weird. Why do you even hang out? Anyway, I've learned a lot. But
oh, that's great. Well, if you're just tuning in, this is F5 Recovery Radio. Adam is away out in, I think, Nashville, Tennessee this week. So it's just Kirsten and I just holding the fort down, if you will.
Is he there for a conference, or?
I believe it's a conference, like a week-long conference.
Maybe he's going to be in the Grand Ole Opry and we're missing it.
Maybe.
That was a good time.
Well, it's funny because you talked about the Grand Ole Opry.
It was really cool.
And he didn't even know what that was. So I don't think he's actually going to go see it. Because he had no, like, it was like one of those, like, just washed right over him. He had no idea.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going to
be He's not as country as he says he is, I guess.
Maybe not.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. But today's show, I want to talk about something kind of I don't want to say necessarily deep, but just something that's just been really interesting on my heart. There's a quote that says, "Comparison is the thief of joy." And so I kind of wanted that to be our topic today and talk about all things of comparison and what that means to us and all of that. And if you can, since if you're listening on the radio, you can't see, Kirsten always brings like a notebook, which is like, makes me so happy that she like puts thought and time. Because Adam's not here, I'm going to talk about him. Adam just always wings it, and so Kirsten always brings like material, and I'm just like, all right, I come up with these topics every week for us to talk about, and then you put some notes together. I have the whole
notebook.
Yeah, and it's great, so I appreciate it.
Most of which we never get to, but I just have to be on. A little bit prepared.
Mm-hmm. But we're gonna get to it today. We're not gonna have Adam derail us and get us distracted. We're not gonna talk about what men talk about that makes no sense. We're going to really tackle this topic for sure.
Adam's been consistent over the 25 years I've known him. Anyway, I think he's the best. So, but yes, he finds his way onto a different subject that usually I just don't understand. I'm like, I'm not that smart. I don't get it. But anyway, so yeah. And my mom taught me how to keep notes. Bring notes. If you're on time, you're late. And, always be early and over-prepared.
See? Exactly. Mom wisdom. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. And whenever I have to speak somewhere, I literally, I have to speak this Saturday in Western North Dakota. And I, just now in saying it, I kind of want to throw up. Like, I get so anxious, and I feel like, I'm just probably not the best person for that kind of stuff, but some people have, bad taste and pick me and whatever. But anyway,
I'm sure it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, well, I kind of want to throw up now that I said it. So anyway, but comparison, the thief of joy, isn't that in? Is that from the Bible?
I actually don't know.
I think you're supposed to know that.
I'm probably supposed to know. I picked the topic, but it's like I heard it before.
I've heard it. I think it was like a Roosevelt thing, or maybe
that's what I think it was. I think it was Teddy Roosevelt who said it. Now that you mention that, it's like, that's where I must have heard it.
I feel like I've heard it in a sermon before too. Mm-hmm. Not that I've heard a lot of sermons, but
the ones you did. Yeah, that's the one the takeaway.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. Anyway, so why did you pick it?
Well, it's been something I think. As I feel like a lot of my topics kind of just stem from fatherhood, because that's the most biggest thing in my life right now. And so the purpose of having that topic is because like I just been kind of like comparing myself and just like what I didn't want to do from what I saw from my dad. And like I want to be better than that. I want to like be a better father. I want to teach Ricky, and like obviously he's the fourth. So like, how do I, from grandpa to my dad to me, like how can I just teach him the better things of life than what I necessarily got for myself. Yeah. And then it's from that, it's kind of spiraled to be like, okay, I'm going to read a bunch of like father blogs and just like read about what other dads are doing, which then was great up until he was born. And then everything I kept reading after that just made me depressed and sad and just overwhelmed, because like all the things that I was supposed to be feeling or having never happened.
Yeah.
And so then instead of being like thankful and gracious and like, oh my God, I have a son or, you know, a child like that's alive and healthy.
Yeah.
I just felt nothing.
Yeah.
And so it was, and I had to, and I knew I needed to stop reading, and I needed to stop like listening to other people, like what their you know, journeys are like. And like, I'm talking about like my friends and other people who have multiple kids and all the things. Like I had to stop like asking questions, or stop like for a while to like stop asking those things, because it was so difficult for me to hear what other people are doing and not being like, oh, I don't do that. That's never even crossed my mind. And so then it's like, what the heck? Like, what's wrong with me? So then I would ask Jelsa, and Jelsa would be like, no, or yeah, that's like, and then like kind of like a you should know that.
You should have known
and
that.
then it's like, oh my, and so then I just spiral again. So then it was just like everything that I wanted to have and that I wanted to be just didn't happen, never clicked. And so then it's like I'm just feeling miserable and hopeless. And just like, well,
the thief of joy.
Yeah, just completely robbed and just like so destitute, and it sucked. And it was one of the worst. I mean, it has been. Thankfully, like things are better now, but it was one of the lowest points in my life. Yeah, because of that. Yeah, and it happened so fast.
I know.
So quick.
I know.
And it just was like I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a light bulb, but like I don't know when it like I still don't know like necessarily when it happened or like when it switch happened. But it was like something's off. Yeah. And this sucks.
Yeah. It's like a thread of doubt.
Yeah.
Enters your brain, and you can't get away from it. And with parenting, anyway, like I guess I've had just a few more years experience with you, but I don't have a lot of experience with parenting, or you know what I mean. But you get these kids, and then you read all these things, and you see these shows, and my kids should be here at this time and this time, and you know, society backs that up and whatever. And every kid is so different. And like you said, you know, we try and do better than our parents did, but like my parents did amazing with what they had, because I think my brother and I were, you know, really good liars, and you know what I mean, like we were something handful. But and so you just try and think like, okay, I want my kids to want to talk to me more than I felt that I could talk to my parents. But that was in a generation where it was like, if they talked about drugs, sex, anything, the answer was just don't do it. Right. You know what I mean? And so then that makes it interesting. Well, now I want to know why I shouldn't do it. And what's like, why do you guys laugh so much when you do it? Right. You know? Anyway, but with parenting, anyway, to get back to parenting, I started out under that pressure, that same pressure that eats you alive. Like my kids should be at this point and should be doing this. And I'm sure I've told this already, but one time when Jack, who is 18 and graduating, and he is a capable, organized, functioning, great kid, but when he was in kindergarten, he went to the principal's office every single day. I got a call. And I just thought, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And of course, you just take it on as like, I'm screwing up this parenting thing. I have no idea what I'm doing. I got 2 other kids I'm trying to keep alive. And I don't have time, you know. And anyway, so we had to have a meeting with, and my husband was raised in a family, like to start with, before he went into foster care, it was incredibly abusive. And like, he just like, by the time he was 12, I think he was lifting weights so he could, you know, so he wouldn't be so afraid of his dad, who was like abusive. But anyway, so that was his, you know, baseline. Young childhood. He just wanted to have it better than that. So, okay, we had that. But for a long time, he was really afraid that he would just one day be his dad or be his stepdad. And it's hard to, like, that's irrational, because it'd be like, oh my gosh, you're their hero. Right. What you're thinking is completely irrational. There has never been a time, even like if he raises his voice, he's got a presence. And if he raises his voice, it's like everybody in the room shuts up or cries, you know? So, And he thinks that that's somehow going to turn him into his dad or stepdad or both or whatever.
Yep.
Anyway, that's not realistic. But anyway, and he's always like, the kids are fine, you're doing great, blah, blah, blah. And I worry about their emotional well-being and all of these other things. So anyway, we had to go talk to the principal. And so it was us and the principal, so Matt and I and the principal and the school psychologist and the teacher and like all these people that know like kid mental health things and kid things. And we're sitting there and Matt is honest to a fault. Like there are times when I just say, please lie to me. Just please. I don't want to know. Anyway, but we're sitting in there and they're explaining all the struggles Jack is having. And Matt says, well, you know, his mom and I are both alcoholic. And I thought,
my God.
Are you insane? Are you insane? I wanted to murder him because I just thought, Matt, they will hear nothing after this. Nothing.
Yeah,
all they heard was that we're drunks
Yeah.
and our kid's a lunatic. You know what I mean? But, you know, of course he's like, but we're in recovery. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about that. Anyway, so I thought he ruined I thought we had to move for real. I was packing. But anyway, I don't even know how that ended. I was in such shock. But anyway, but, you know, Jack turned out okay. Our other two kids didn't have to, you know, do anything special to not be considered, oh, they're the kids of the alcoholics, you know. And but anyway, I just could have murdered him. I'm like, there is a time and place for honesty. This is not it. Yep. But with kids, like I always did compare what I did with other moms and, you know, whatever. I have a good friend of mine, Trisha. She is also planning graduation. Okay. And she has all her stuff together. She's got like this party planned and all the things and boards with pictures and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. But I'm comparing how I feel to how she looks, and she looks put together. And then I talk with her, and then I'm like, okay, we're both not put together. That's wonderful. But as far as parenting goes, I think after you stress yourself out to a place where you're miserable, right? And then things change. I never change because like it was suggested and it's a good idea. Yeah. That's never been my story. I wait till I'm totally miserable in some sort of funk or depression, and then I think this has to change, you know. Right. And I just thought I just have to be myself. I have to raise these kids with my own personality. Right. And I don't think it's going to screw them up too bad. I mean, we have insurance so we can get them a good therapist, but you just, once I settled into who I was as a person and as a mom, it just was so much smoother. And my kids probably have to explain to their friends often why their mom is different. You know what I mean? But I just admitted when I didn't know and asked for help. And like you said, I was grateful that I had kids that are healthy. Like my youngest is not going to be the best reader, but he's dyslexic, and he's going to be the best salesman. You know what I mean? He's witty and funny and all the things. And like my oldest is going to probably be a rocket scientist or something like that. And probably not get Charlie's jokes. You know what I mean? They're just so different. Right. But I'm just that mom. I just settled into who I am, and I have I have a collection of phallic things that I put in my bathroom, and I just think like that's my personality, you know. Right. And so a lot of their friends walk out of the bathroom and they're like, do you know what's in that bathroom?
Yes, I live here.
And it's like, yes, we know what's in there. She's ridiculous. Right. But none of that stuff is that's not going to hurt them. You know what I mean? And it's going to hopefully make them more well-rounded. And I just, appropriate things don't come natural to me. And so I'm just going to go with whatever I got, you know. But you'll do you, and you'll have the coolest kids. You know, you really will have the coolest kids. And you really do want to teach your kids, like, just do you. Right. You know, don't compare. That's going to wreck you and whatever. But I think a lot of times with recovery, most of the people I've spoke with grow up feeling less than, you know, like if I were to be totally honest, my parents would breathe for me if they could.
Yep.
But when my perception was so off because of my addiction or dependency or whatever, I really would have told you that they love me because they have to.
Right.
You know what I mean? They love
Yep.
me because they have to.
Yep.
I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I would drink or do whatever, like smell cocaine or whatever,
Yep.
when I would do that, it just, all of a sudden I felt just as good as everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Not even better then, but just like, finally I came back up to level, you know? And I think I chased that. Well, I know you chase that till
Yes.
you're
Oh,
absolutely
Yep.
on the front page of the paper or whatever.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so then when you get sober, you realize this has nothing to do.
Right.
That was my medication.
Mm-hmm.
And so now the problem is how do I live life on life's terms without being my own worst enemy
Right.
and stuff like that? And is that similar with gambling and it just brought you back to zero?
Yep. And that's because that's the place that I remembered, and that's what's like even weird, and that's like a good transition because it's like even comparing, that's not the word, even comparing like where I wanted to be, like gambling brought me where I wanted to be, where I thought I used to be before I started gambling.
Yeah.
It's like, man, life used to be so much better. And like, what was it? And I was like, I can't find it. And then I started gambling for the first time, or consistently, and I was like, oh, that's it. Like I can't remember whatever I was feeling before, because in my mind it was like life was just so good.
Yes.
And like everything was perfect, and like forget like all the craziness of other things that I was doing which pushed me to go to gambling. But it was like, okay, life was so much better before. Whatever the before was.
Yeah.
I never defined what before was,
Right.
or what it looked like, or what I did differently back then.
Yeah.
Right? It was just in my mind, some time. But then when I started gambling, like, it was like, oh, this is what that time was like. It was like, it just transported me back to that again. It's like, and I'd be at the tables, or if I'm at the, like the slot machines or blackjack, whatever I was doing.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, oh, this is, there it is. Like that feeling that I used to feel before,
Yeah.
I'm feeling again. And it was great. And like, I mean, I did drugs and alcohol. I did all sorts of other different things, but that stuff like physically affected me. So then like Chelsea would be like, hey, you need to, like, you okay? You know what I mean? And I'd be like, oh, no. Yeah, and then I would cut it out. But then I was like, it was great because gambling like never physically affected it, but I still got the same triggers in my brain and whatever the things that fire off that like makes you feel high.
Enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so then, and that was like a weird like self comparison of like, the more I do this, or the longer that I can do this, the longer I can feel the way I used to feel and be the person I used to be, and I'm gonna have money in my pocket. And then weird, I didn't have money in my pocket before I started gambling. I definitely didn't have money in my pocket after I started gambling, but somehow like it was just that same like perspective of like, okay, this is gonna get me back to this place, and it was just weird, like just the insanity of it all, of like like, no, things weren't that good beforehand, and they definitely didn't get better afterwards. But at the time, especially when I was at the tables, or when I was up for like 26 hours. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I remember when I used to not be able to sleep, not remembering that was in high school.
Yeah.
Like, when I didn't have any responsibility, I didn't have bills, I didn't have to work. I just, my mom was like, yeah, if you want to, like, whatever, go for it. And I'm like, all right. So then I just did. And so like comparing my, I was 25, 26 at that point, I think. Yeah, 25, 26. I'm like, oh yeah, this is like 10 years ago when I used to be able to do this. And it's like just the craziness of that. And it's like, oh yeah, this feels the same. No, it definitely was not the same. Yeah. I was on a whole lot of other things. I definitely had a lot of explaining to do when I got home. Like, there was a lot more that went into the second time doing that again. But it was just this weird like place of like just chasing after it every day and just constantly. And so then it wasn't enough. So then it was like I would get frustrated because I'm like, bars had to close. Yeah. Like you couldn't just gamble all day. And you can go to the casinos and do a lot of that, but that wasn't like I couldn't just go because I had to drive to get to them. Like it wasn't just, I still had other responsibilities to try to do in the mean of things. So then I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to like there's got to be websites, there's got to be other things. So then it was like dark web, like a lot of like very illegal sites and other things that I was like placing bets on and doing other things because the internet never closes. So then once I started like transitioning from like in-person tables, if you will, to like, I can just do this on my phone, or I can just do this on my computer and just gamble and play other people, whatever. Yeah. It's like, perfect. I never have to turn it off. So then this feeling of like what I used to be could continue for however long I wanted it to. Yeah. And it was just crazy that like that and even as that started to trail off and as like I had less and less money and then started stealing and doing all the other things to like try to like keep replacing that. It's like, well, I didn't do that before. Yeah. But weird, but like I still feel the same. So I was like, okay, whatever it takes to get to that same feeling, like somehow this past feeling of like what Ricky used to be is the most important thing in my life. Yeah. Forget everything else, forget all my other responsibilities, forget the consequences. Yeah. It was just like, I have to get back to this person.
And your intention was never to be a thief, you know what I mean? Nope. Or what, like, that was never my intention either. No. It was just to desperately maintain this feeling of like, okay, just to be okay. I don't even want to be like special or anything. No. I just want to not hate myself. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And so, but then you get into recovery and then it's like, here you are, emotionally naked in the breeze, just comparing how I feel to how you look. And you look like you have it together. Yep. Because people aren't going to come into a business meeting and be like, I felt super insecure this morning, but now I'm doing great. How should we do this, Bob? You know what I mean? It just doesn't, everybody paints a picture of life being better than it is. Yes. Just like I'm trying to do for graduation. I'm absolutely making it look like my house is put together when usually windows are broken and stuff like that, But that insecurity, that you were talking about makes us separate and different, and it really is hard. And I think when you get into recovery, the reason why I related immediately was because someone verbalized these feelings of insecurity, and how chemicals or whatever you're using took that away like magic. It was like, what do they say? Like if you're born with a headache and you never really even know that's what it is until somebody gives you an aspirin or booze or whatever. Yep. And then it's gone. And then you're like, this is what it's supposed to be like. This is what it's supposed to be like. But you chase that to a place that's insane, and you lose all the things. And I think a lot of times, like I've talked with thousands of people over the years, and even people not in recovery, I think you just don't know the hardships and drama and all the stuff people carry with them. Absolutely. You don't know that. And there's, I was talking with somebody recently about, they were saying this one person was, a fast girl or slutty, you know what I mean? And that makes the hair stand on the back of my neck for a lot of reasons. But just to chat with them about, like, that person's also broken. You know what I mean? Right. Not to mention, where are the guys in this story and why are there nobody saying a word about them? But anyway, side note. But, like, we all do, any behavior we do is because of some broken piece of us that we don't think we can share because nobody will relate. But the people in life that I bump into that are quote unquote perfect bore me to death. You know what I mean? Like, they're just not super interesting. They do exactly what you do on TV or whatever. It's the people that are like, a curveball comes in, you're like, oh my gosh, let's actually get to know them, you know? And like when our car broke down and when we were in Western North Dakota and we were out in the middle of nowhere, and this guy came up who is obviously on something, some kind of upper. And to me, that's fascinating. Like, I want to get to know this guy. So I'm like, hey, who are you? Blah, blah, blah. He's telling me how he cured COVID and all of these other crazy things. Awesome stories, right? Anyway, my husband had it. And he was like, dude, you got to get out of here. Like, you're obviously not safe. And I was like, oh, this is a great story, Anyway, we're all interested in different things. And so it makes it when you look at life like that, it makes it easier to like I've said before, forgive everyone, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just forgive, and then you can learn to forgive yourself. But it's not going to work the other way around. And to just not be so hard on yourself, and that doesn't always happen. But you learn tools that make it easier. Like I've had sponsors or that have said make a gratitude list every day.
Yep.
And when I start to be grateful and like do things like that, I really am much more humble and kind, and and I've always been, it's always been told to me, get to know people. Ask them about themselves before you just like lump them into this judgmental whatever, because I would be in my own, if they judged me, I'd probably be not the most like, I don't actually want her watching my kids ever. Yeah. But to just get to know people and ask them about themselves, and then you just see them so differently, Anyway. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's one thing for this, like, kind of the next question. So in understanding and recognizing, you were talking about like just this comparison and just seeing other people who have this like perfect life. But I think, what is it like when you see other people in recovery and see what their recovery walk is and what they're able to do compared to what you're able to do in your recovery walk? It could either be the same thing or it could be in whatever, however you see them. Like, do you ever like find yourself like, how are they able to do that in their recovery walk and not me? Or how is like all of a sudden they're, either newer or older, longer in recovery, whatever it is, having more things than you. Have you ever run into that?
Oh, for sure. My gosh. Yeah. To say that I've never had jealousy or I've always been confident in me, that's crap. Even sitting here right now, like, I shouldn't eaten all those M&Ms yesterday. I probably should have brushed my hair better. You know what I mean? All these things, but I didn't. So, but there's always going to be the, like, I get caught up on fair. And I think I've learned this from my kids because you start to tell them, like, life's not fair. Get over it. You're going to have to just move on. Sometimes crappy people get good things. Move on, And life is not fair, and it's not about what anyone else has. And I think, I can't remember where I got this information over my recovery, and it was to just act better than you feel. And that means, like, if you get the job I want, the next right action for me is to congratulate you and be happy for you. Right. Act happy for you. And then pretty soon I actually am happy for you. Right. Because I don't know what's coming next for me. Right. And if I'm the person like walking around all like, well, he doesn't deserve it. He should have, it's not fair, whatever. Right. Who's going to open a door for me? This hateful person who actually can't be happy for someone. Yep. But it's all in how the actions other people see you taking in hard times, Right. Like, if you get the job I want, congrats, because you never know what's coming. Maybe I wasn't supposed to have that. Right. Maybe a better thing is coming for me. Right. And by being excited for you and willing to help you make more of your life instead of cutting you down, and that's how businesses get, and all these like, You push people away, friends and family. You push them away because you're jealous of their success or something. Right. Even if you feel jealous, don't do that. Right. That's a jerk move, you know. And then people see you handle something like that gracefully, and more opportunity comes your way. Right. Anyway. But so to just be somebody's biggest fan is just such a big deal, and know that what's coming next, I don't know what's coming next. Right. But it's going to be okay. And the stuff I worry about never happens. You know what I mean? The stuff I sit up at night and worry like, oh my gosh, what if this happens and this happens? It's some random Tuesday that something out of left field comes and I lose my mind or whatever. Yeah. That stuff. So it's just like, am I going to be the person who's upset and crabby and hateful in between what I want and when it comes? Right. Or am I going to be grateful and kind and whatever in that same time. It doesn't mean that I don't go to my girlfriends and say, this idiot got this job. You know what I mean? And then they're like, yeah, he's an idiot. And then it's over, but I just had to say it out loud.
Right. Yeah, I think and it's so hard and it's so easy to do, especially when you go to meetings and or you just hear just other things that are just happening for people. And it's like, I remember, I think I was probably maybe 11 or 12 months clean, something like that. It was still like relatively early on. So like I've been doing recovery. I've been recovered, if you will, for a while, but not that long. But I remember there was a person who was kind of in and out, like just as it happens. Yeah. For those who've never been to, recovery's hard, and sometimes, you don't always have the best of time, and you have to give another go at it. But anyways, this person was like in and out throughout, my 12 months or however long I was there, and then like finally had been coming consistently, and then all of a sudden it was like night and day. Like the stories he was sharing, all these great things that were happening, like again, now I can say good for you, but like at the time it was like, no, I was so mad. I was like things had gotten like better. Like, I had kind of got my relationship back. Like I had started getting some things, but I was still on probation. Yeah. I still had to pay money back to the company I stole from. Like I still had to pay my parents back for helping me with like legal fees and just everything that they were doing. Like I still wasn't in the clear, but this guy, like I was like, no. And I was so mad. And I was just like, just so frustrated. I remember talking to my sponsor about it, and I was just like, can you believe? And then of course, when you start any sort of sentence with the can you believe, you already are in the wrong. But it was just like, can you believe like this person, like, and again, this is probably a couple of weeks of being clean, coming back consistently, doing all that, having all these great things happen. And it was that same thing. He was like, are you going to be miserable the rest of your life? Because everyone's going to be able to have better things than you, whether you feel like they should get it or not.
Right.
So either you can continue to feeling miserable and never get any joy, never get any sort of happiness, because you should just stop coming to meetings, right? Because there's always going to be somebody who's going to have something's going to happen in their lives, whatever. Yeah. Like he was like, and then he really hit me, like it like pierced me. He was like, so you just come into meetings to hear about all the other bad things in other people's lives? Yeah. Are you that person? Yeah. I was like never. No, I'm not. Absolutely not. And he was like, so he's like, but again, like that's that kind of perspective, like that different way of living, of thinking, of like what you think he should have because of his in and out, and you're, you've been doing quote unquote doing all the right things for however much amount of time. I know. It doesn't matter.
Life's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not fair. Yep. And sometimes it's just going to be blatantly like that. But and that's the trick. Like if I continue to compare how I feel to how you look, right, I will never, ever, ever measure up. No. And I will be miserable for a very long time. Yeah. So it's just like that, really starting that gratitude list thing. I did that every day for quite a while, and it would be like, you have to write 5 things down. They can't be the same. And I'd think, I'm going to run out of things tomorrow then. But you never run out of things. Yep. And I don't know what life has in store for me. It's humbling when someone says, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm a mom. You know what I mean? But that's what I wanted. Like I decided to not work anymore to be a mom. And so sometimes it's scary financially. Sometimes it's scary. Like my poor ego is bruised by having to say like, I think I was good at my job, but I can't do it yet. And I've made a commitment to stay home with my boys. And, there's just so many things where you feel inadequate, or you're like, I could be more, blah, blah, blah. Or if somebody just comes into a pile of money, or it seems so easy for them, but they might be more miserable now than they were before. You just never know the baggage somebody carries. And so the best advice I ever got was just to get to know people, especially the people you dislike or you think have something one up on you, because it's humbling. It's humbling, and to know that other people carry whatever bad behavior someone is experiencing that I'm all judgy of, like if some girl's fast, which I don't judge that actually. I think you go girl, get what you got to get, and then all those things, just like just get to know them. They're broken. Something is broken.
Yeah.
And so, kindness only matters. And there will always be somebody smarter,
Yes.
thinner, more attractive, younger,
Yep.
less wrinkles. You know what I mean? There's just always gonna be.
Something.
So I guess maybe with age or with being around a while, you just sink into who you are. Like, you are what you are.
Yep.
Like, you got the best fashion sense I've ever seen on a man ever. And own it. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Whereas most people be like, well, I'm scared to wear that. Somebody might say something. Well, that's the good part. Somebody's going to say something. Yeah.
Right.
I always tried to be shorter. And because I was 6 feet tall in the 7th grade, so
Yeah.
that kills your dating career till
makes sense.
college for sure.
Yep.
And I just wasn't the cutest kid. I had a terrible perm, was a little bit thick, acne, corrective shoes because I was pigeon-toed. I wasn't going to get a date anyway. I could have been short. I wasn't going to happen. But so I thought, I'm going to work on my personality. And that probably worked out better for me, You hate to peak in high school, then it would be over. But life just gives you different opportunities
Yep.
to succeed in other areas.
Yep. To just work on your personality. There it is.
Yeah. Because, maybe I wouldn't have been kicked out of college with Matt, and we wouldn't have gone to the same county jail. I mean, I would have missed him altogether. And he's like my bestie, so it was hard to explain to my parents when you're in and out of jail, like, I'm building a career. Actually, that's what I'm doing here. I need this experience to
Right.
build a career. They didn't see it that way. But anyway.
Yeah.
Anyways,
That's
so
awesome.
yeah.
Well, it's a perfect time for a commercial. Would you want?
Oh, yeah,
do a
you'll have
commercial?
to.
Do you want to do
Here,
it?
I'll hand. No, I
Nope.
don't.
Does not.
I don't read real good. I make up words mostly.
Well, if you're just tuning in, and thank you so much for joining us and being with us. This is the F5 Recovery Radio. This is your host, One Pretty Ricky, and I'm joined by my co-host, Kirsten Huovinen, and Adam Martin is out today. But you're listening on KRFF 95.9 LPFM, which all of their programming is being underwritten by Flatland Guitar and Lutherie. Flatland Guitar is your full-service guitar shop and your exclusive dealer for Yamaha, Taylor, and Paul Reed Smith guitars, as well as other brands. They sell guitars on consignment. They also take trade-ins and have a full-service on-site repair center. So check out Flatland Guitar and Lutherie on Facebook, or you can visit them in person at their location at 1450 25th Street South, right here in Fargo. Yeah, it's funny that they've taken off the hours. So you're going to have to look them up on Facebook to figure out when they're open. But I'm sure people are smart. They can figure it out.
You play guitar?
I don't. Jelsa does, though.
Ooh.
Yeah. She doesn't, she plays, but she's so, shy about it. She played in front of me maybe twice in our 11 years
Really?
together. Yeah, just not.
Oh,
She
girlfriend,
just has a
own
gift
it.
and just does not share it.
My dad actually taught himself how to play guitar in his 70s, and he's really good.
Yeah.
And he can sing. And anyway, I just think I think my dad's a hero. He could probably do anything ever, but he wanted to do. But
It's cool.
anyway, so yeah, I don't play guitar either because it hurts my fingers. I don't like that.
Yeah, and think of comparison of the things that I don't like. I feel like my fingers are too fat, or they don't have the dexterity. Is that the word?
We're probably comparing our inability to someone's ability. Yeah.
It's I have great hands, but not for that.
Yeah.
I was I can grip a ball, I can swing a hammer, but I can't play a guitar.
You got scratching record hands. That's what you got.
Exactly. I can twist the vinyl like the best of them. That's where my gifts were.
I want to be the best at something, or I really don't want to do it. If I were to start guitar, I'd want to be Axl Rose kind of ish.
Oh, got it.
And then, or Slash probably. But anyway, I date myself. But if I'm not the best, I really don't want to play. But that's changed immensely over the years. I just want to try everything. I'm going to be awful at it probably, but I'd like to try it,
That's part of the fun, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
just getting out there.
Call of Duty, my boys asked me to play with them. And I don't know. It's not Mario. There's not 2 buttons. I can't move my head and the character in the same direction at the same time. So I'm always like walking into a wall and looking up or something, and then I get killed and whatever. But anyway, it makes it over quicker because that's a painful thing to do with your kids too. But oh well.
Play video games.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's play the video games that they want to play, not the Mario. I'm sure like Super Mario Brothers. Like they probably aren't about it.
No, they think that's really old and like one-dimensional, or I don't even know the words they use, but I'm like, I know all the songs. Yeah. I like Duck Hunt and stuff like that, but I don't think we never had a Nintendo. My cousin had a Nintendo in her attic, and we'd go up there and play it, and it was the coolest thing.
That's cool.
Like the whole room was dedicated to the Nintendo.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a big deal when you have it.
I thought she had it all too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she had a boyfriend in high school and stuff like that, so I thought she was pretty put together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, but it's all about, you know what I mean? Don't compare your insides to someone's outsides. And my friend David, we try and walk in the mornings, but we always talk about this picture you paint, the picture you paint versus what's really going on.
Okay.
And so whenever we start to talk about something that someone else has, we're like, that's just the picture they painted. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes, you know? And I think the more authentic I've been in my life, like when I just quit trying so hard to be something I'm not, and, you know, just kind of sunk into my inadequacies and whatever, I found more true friends in my life than I ever did before. I remember going on this chaperone trip or whatever, and it was with strangers, and I was scared to death, but I was a grown up, so I had to act like I was put together. And I just thought, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to act like I know what I'm doing? And anyway, nerves just got the best of me, and I ended up saying some inappropriate joke or something like this, and it was like instantly I had these friends that we had the best time. We had the best time. And so I've just found the more real I am, A, the easier it is to be, and B, you attract people that really want to be around you. And I immediately detract the ones that don't. So there's no, like, I don't have to, you know, tiptoe around acting like I got it together or whatever.
Right.
Because I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like that comparison. It's like you'll bring in who you're supposed to be, and you'll push away those who aren't.
Yeah.
Because it's good. Because then that way, like the people are supposed to be around that you're supposed to connect with. You don't have to, like, you could just be you. You don't have to, like, it's like some of my best friends are my best friends because for a lot of different reasons, but I don't have to work when I'm with them. Does that make sense? Like there's just certain people that you're just around where it's just like, man, it's really exhausting just because either you're, at least for me, I can't speak for other people, but at least for me, sometimes like I just feel like I have to like sound smarter than I am, or I have to just like, you know, say I'm just doing a lot more in my life, or just all these other like things where it's like, man, this is just a lot of work to be this person's friend. Whereas like when I'm with my buddies Paul and Ryan, you know, like I don't like the ones I can just talk literally about nothing with. Like it's easy, and I don't have to think, and I don't want to have to think sometimes. I don't want to just be.
And
those
I can
are
just friends.
Be me, be inappropriate. I can be funny. I can be silly. I can be sad. I can be whatever. And just whatever I am that day, that they're just going to be whatever they are that day. And then we just carry on. And it's great. Life
moves on.
And
the gift you're giving other people in that moment, and I can watch it happen with other people, but when I'm doing it, it doesn't feel the same. But you're giving people the gift of being themselves. Like when you walk into a room and you're just like, you're Ricky, you know, other people see that and relate to that, and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to be able to be just okay saying, no, I don't know what's going on. Or there's been meetings when somebody said, Kirsten, what do you think? And I'm like, oh, sorry, I was thinking about myself. You know what I mean? Just to have that honesty doesn't hurt anybody, of course, because that would ruin me to think I hurt somebody's feelings. But it empowers other people to just relax, enjoy you, be you. You know, I forget a lot of things. There's a lot of things I'm really bad at. Planning things, organizing, staying on top of things. Not my jam. You know what I mean? Making a 4-hour scavenger hunt, Heck yeah, I'm really good at that.
Yep.
Talking with people that are more interesting than whatever, I love that. That makes me really happy, you know. But we all have our strengths, and I don't want to be good at everything because then you get signed up for everything, and I don't need all that jazz. I got enough going on. Or you get into situations where, like I said, I knew what I was doing, but I really don't, and then good luck. That's rough.
Yeah. Thankfully, I've never been caught in a situation like that. Because usually I'm like, especially if I'm good at it, I won't stop talking about it, about how good I, like, not even a cocky way, just like, because I'm just excited. Like, oh my God, this is something I'm good at. Like, I want to just talk about it all day. But then if something I'm not good at, I get really quiet. I definitely I'm not going to volunteer myself. Even if I get called on, I'm going to just make up an excuse. Oh, my knee. Oh, just something. It's like,
I pulled
what does your knee have to do with just, I was like, I don't know, but I don't even,
I got to go.
Literally all my blood's going to my knee, nothing in my brain, like all these things. But so I think it's one of those things, I'm glad that with what I know and what I'm good at, that's, hopefully I've never gotten into a place just in comparison. It's no, I just know who I am and I'm very comfortable.
Yeah.
And it took a while, and it took even long. It was even I had to learn I wasn't anything different when I was in recovery because looking at a lot of other people's recovery journeys, it seemed very okay, this is who I was in my addiction, but this is who I am in my recovery. Right. I'm well, I'm the same person in both. Some chemically some things had changed, and I need to do a little bit more in my recovery, but I'm still the same person who I was before. Yeah. The same joy, the same happiness, same clothes, the same a lot of things. And I think when I was okay, that's okay to be that way and not have to be different. I didn't have to become something different in recovery. I could still be the same person I was before. Once I figured that out, I was oh my God, it just was my whole world opened up and everything became happy again. And it's oh my God, I just was trying so hard to be recovery Ricky and not, the addict Ricky. And I'm but they're the same person.
I know.
It's still the same thing. And it's once I figured that I didn't have to be anything different, I could just be that. I could just be Ricky. I didn't have to put a title with it. Just be me.
And you can be you. Man. And change your mind tomorrow. I can be super passionate about something, make posters for it, all that jazz, and then tomorrow not believe in that same thing, and I'm still the same person. And I think sometimes we get caught up in well, I advocated for this. Well, who cares? When you knew better, you did better. So you can change your mind, and you can be something different. And I think when you get sober, you don't know who you are because it's I have lied to myself and the world for so long now. I don't even know what I like. Right. What's your hobby? I have no idea. Right. And so just to be able to say that, I don't know what I like. Let's try some things out and see what I like. And if I don't like it, fine. You know what I mean? I can still sit and act like I know how to do Call of Duty, and I don't. Or when my husband, when they talk about cars or whatever, I just think well, what color was it? I have no idea. I don't even know what a flux capacitor is. I don't know any of that. Anyway.
I love that Back to the Future reference. That was nice.
88 miles per hour.
Well, with the last few minutes that we have left, Kirsten, anything you want to share? Close it out.
Just be you. The only rule we have at our house, there's one rule, and it's don't be a dick. Yep. And it's it covers so many bases. Just be kind, grateful, supportive. Someone will always be more attractive, richer, smarter. There will always be somebody that you can wreck your day with if you want to, but they're probably dying on the inside for some other thing anyway. Yeah. So if you're jealous of them, get to know them, and just be grateful. Start with that gratitude list. It really does make you appreciate all the little things. It makes me much less of a whiny brat. Yeah.
For sure. And I just want to thank everyone again so much for tuning in on Facebook Live as well as on the radio. This is F5 Recovery Radio with your host, One Pretty Ricky, co-host Kirsten Huovinen. Adam Martin is away, but he will be back next week. We're just super thankful to KRFF for having us. We're super just grateful to be able to do this.
Yeah.
We have another brand new topic for next week. We have a guest coming up in a couple of weeks we're super excited about. Just all sorts of amazing things. So thank you. Have an amazing day. Don't let comparison be the thief of your joy. And until next time, we'll see you again.